saying, well, if I could do it, then I should be doing it. But
and I'm that guy.
there's someone out there that's better than you.
That's better than me.
That can make it either quicker or better, or have a different idea. I'm
and
the
take
same
that
way.
responsibility off of you.
Exactly.
So that you don't have to feel like, if I don't get it all done, then I'm not accomplished. I'm not good enough. And you go through that whole litany of things that I couldn't get it done. I'm not good enough. I failed at it again.
Yeah.
There's another thing on the back. You go through that whole litany of things in the downward spiral to justify why you're going to stay here.
No, What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Deep MCs, the podcast that seeks to push meaningful conversation to a whole new level. Whether it's for your entertainment or your personal growth, we appreciate you being here today. And now, on to the show. What's going on, man?
Hey, bro. We're here for another one, man.
Yes, I didn't pick a song for this episode. I think this is a good one. I like to always just put the calm music on whenever I'm feeling low, whenever I'm feeling sad. Gotta put that little slightly upbeat but still a little depressing.
Right. You know what? We might need to change all this music.
Right. Music is a beautiful thing. It's amazing how, whatever, we'll talk about that in a minute. But what are we getting into today?
Man, we're making our rotation back to mental health, man.
Back to mental health. Not a bad thing. Not a bad rotation.
Yeah, not a bad rotation.
All right, but we're coming
important.
back. It's very important, man. And we're, like I said, just talking about music, and I'm bringing it back up. Like, I love music. I think music is one of those, it's like math, right? They say math is like a universal language because it's the same fucking wherever. I feel like music is also a universal language, sound. It communicates, but it also touches. It can invoke. It can inspire. I mean, people work out. They get that when that song comes on. You manage to find a little extra strength.
Right.
When you're going.
Yeah.
When you're depressed, you can find something that suits your mood. When you just want to party, you can have something for that as well. Music is a beautiful thing. At some point, we need to do a music episode.
No, music is a very powerful thing.
It is a very powerful thing, man. It's super powerful. But anyway, mental health for me. It's funny when you think about that. So, I use music a lot when it comes for my mental health aspect. I think I have something wrong with me. First of all, I just want to put that out there. I think I don't know what it is. I'm not good with mental disabilities and diagnosis. So I'm not a doctor, and I don't know what it is. But I'm fucked off in the head, and I don't know if it's autism, if I'm on the spectrum, or if it's ADD, or I'm just fucking weird.
Or what are you doing right now?
So what?
Huh?
It's mental health.
I know.
What I'm talking about. That's what see? That's exactly what I'm talking about. But this is all what we're getting into. This is all what we're getting into. All right, we're getting into it, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
there's something wrong with me because there's certain things, and I was doing some reading previously about it, and there's just a certain type of person, and this was in like a Psychology Today, and it has a lot to do with repetition, and not like I don't know which one it is. Where there's and this is why I don't want to, I don't care if I offend anybody. Anyway, I don't know if it's on the spectrum or autistic or whatever the fuck it is, but there's ones that they have to deal with repetition.
Okay.
Right, and like it's this repetition over and over and over again. But it's not that
repetition for what?
Anything, just in life. And learning, or they repeat themselves a bunch, or like whatever. Like there's just this thing of repetition in life.
Okay.
But like this is not necessarily directly related to that, but it has a lot to do with like there's certain types of people where they trance themselves with these things of like repetition. Okay. So and it helps your thinking, right? And so like for me, like when it like I guess to give people an example is like I can have a song And if I'm having a mental whatever, I'm in depression or happy, or I'm trying to accomplish shit, or I'm trying to like whatever, like I have a song that works for what I needed to do.
Well, very specific.
And then I put that song on, and then it just loops.
Okay.
And it helps me focus, and it puts me like in almost a trance state. And because there's people that can't listen to this. Like, I've heard this song 4 times in a row. Like, no, I will literally loop this song without a break from 3 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, right.
The same fucking song.
Yeah.
And it doesn't bother me. I don't get tired of it. Like, it's just where, but it makes me focus, and it makes me accomplish.
I mean, I don't know that that's,
you know,
off the spectrum though.
Well, but it's weird.
I don't know that it's weird. Well,
It's
then
weird.
I'm just as weird as you, if that's the case. Because I know when
Possibly.
I was working overnight, you know,
Right.
we would have music
Yeah.
on. I would have music on because the store music was just
terrible.
aggravating,
Yeah.
right? So I had my earbuds in, and I could literally listen to a song the whole night, one song.
Yeah. But I mean, that's part of it, right? But then also I have other things that's weird, right? Like I talked about in another episode, I have this weird attraction to the same number, repeated numbers.
Okay.
And it's just weird. It's my little tick. I'm going to say it again for anybody that missed it. So like, if I look at the odometer on a car, right? And if it's repeated numbers, so if it's like 112211,
Okay.
or, you know,
Okay.
13333, whatever, or just whatever. So I have to take a picture of it,
Okay.
like a physical picture.
A physical picture.
Like a physical picture. I have to take a picture of it. But like, there's something when I see that in my brain, like it's a soothing feeling.
Okay.
It's fucking weird. I don't know what it is. If the numbers aren't that, it doesn't bother me.
Okay.
But something
If they
about
are.
that repeated number, and then if I realize that I miss a number, it bothers me.
What you mean? Oh, if you didn't see it.
Like if it was like, if my odometer was like 3333, right? And then I parked the car and I looked down, it's like 3334. I'm like, fuck.
I missed it.
I missed
Okay,
it, right?
okay.
I'm never gonna get to go back and see that again. You know, I don't know. Like that's
okay.
you know, I don't know.
Okay.
There's a lot of little things like that. We're getting way off topic here.
It's
but
okay.
Anyway,
But repetition works for you. There's something about repetition, because I don't know that we're that far off. Repetition somehow soothes you the mental
whatever, yeah.
capacity at that moment, right?
It does. And it also spurs whatever it is. So it can work in a negative way too,
Okay.
right? In a lot of ways, because if I'm having a bad day, I can put whatever song on, and then boom, I'm gonna fall into this sunken spot, and then that's just where I'm gonna stay.
Okay.
And then the song is repetition, and so then I stay.
You stay there.
I stay in that
Okay.
spot, you know. So it's a double-edged sword in that matter. But going forward, speaking of those weird dark spots, right? We're talking about mental health, and we're cycling back around because, like I said, for me, I have very heavy swings. You know, like it's very up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And I think a lot of that too is just the fact that I have to be a different person for work purposes,
Okay.
right? So that affects it.
So you have to put that mask on.
Yes, we've had that series. You got to put that mask on. I don't get to be who I really am, because the person that I really am in real life would probably either scare or worry everybody that's around. And I was driving to work. And I was just playing music. So I have my little list, right, of music that I play whenever I feel. And one of these songs came up that was done. And I think what really inspired me to do that was, or not to do that, but to play that song. Obviously, we had the Super Bowl not too long ago, and we had a halftime show that was bullshit. For some, I guess, the greatest thing they've ever seen, which means you haven't seen very many great concerts. Up in Smoke Tour, still the best concert I've ever seen. Neither here nor there. But we had this halftime show, and it had Eminem on there as part of the halftime show. I do have an affinity for Marshall amongst the other artists that were performing. I honestly still haven't watched the halftime show in its entirety. So whatever, maybe I'm just being a hypocrite by judging because I read what people say and I'm just like, it's
just because other people like it. Probably, that's why you hate it.
I do, but also, which is another mental health thing, right? It drives me to fucking hate.
Because they love it, so I can't love anything.
If their energy is too high, I'm done with it. I'm like, man, fuck that. Nah, it could be, even if it was something that had an extreme value, I would throw that shit right in the trash. I'm just like, I don't want this shit no more. I don't want it. I don't want to be part of what everybody fucking loves, because people nowadays are fucking stupid and they like dumb shit. And I'm like, well, this must be dumb shit.
You're missing out on some stuff, man.
I'm okay with that. I don't want to be part of the in crowd, right? You don't want to fit in. You want to stand out, but neither here nor there. Anyway, for me, because I do like music and I do love music, and I am passionate about music, and I used to make music and everything else. I'm like, you can't fit that much greatness into 12 minutes. You can't fit that much greatness into 30 minutes. So it couldn't be that fucking great.
I think the idea that they all pull it together was the greatness of it.
Whatever. I don't care. Neither here nor there. I hate it, and I want nothing to do with it. But
you didn't even watch it though.
I will never will, because people talked about it too much.
See,
I would rather go watch the real thing. I can see all those guys performing Up in Smoke Tour,
which would clearly be better.
Okay, I can watch all their sets of their greatest hits, not 30 seconds of their greatest hits on one stage. But whatever. So, anyway, we're going way off on tangents here. That's my mental health kicking in. So what a lot of people don't know is that Eminem did produce a lot of things, and he wrote a lot of things for a lot of people. And back in the day, I won't say back in the day, but decades ago, whatever, maybe a decade and a half, I don't fucking know. He actually was able to work with some of the surviving members of, Tupac and Biggie, and he actually did an album. He produced, worked on an album, produced an album, and then there was a song called Running that had Tupac and Biggie on it. And it's basically, he mashed up verses from things that they've had, whatever, and anyway, really great song. And it has some narration in there, and it has some samples in there, and whatever else that's in there. So that fit whatever mood I was going in when I was going into it, right? And so I had to put the song on while I was driving, and there's always something in there. You can relate to something, and that's usually generally why you like songs, because you can find something in there that relates to you in that aspect, whether it's how you're feeling or whatever. Is this turn into a music episode?
Yep, it's already there. Let's go.
I don't know.
Let's ride.
What?
Let's ride, Tonto.
Whatever. But I don't remember. So I have this. I hate getting my phone out. I hate doing it, because it's one of them things where it doesn't look professional. That bothers me, and when I go back and watch this episode, it's gonna bother me that I did it, but I don't want to misquote.
Okay.
Right. So, because we do that a lot, we say, I don't know who fucking fucking said it. But anyway, I think a lot of people, especially if they're going through some situations, they can relate, and this is kind of more on, I don't want to say morbid, on the dark side. I'm not gonna sing this shit either, but so there's this, before the verses kick in, there's this little sample of this voice, and it's basically the questions, right, that we have to ask ourselves. And I found myself hitting perfect, because it kind of just felt like how I was feeling in the moment, right? And so the questions are, right, why am I fighting to live if I'm just living to fight? Right? Why am I trying to see where there ain't nothing in sight? Why am I trying to give when no one gives me a try? And why am I dying to live if I'm just living to die?
Okay.
All valid questions. And I think a lot of people, when you get into these dark places, these are questions that you ask yourself, right? And when you have these mental health spells, and again, like mental health, I think gets a weird, it's new, it's still a realm, a spectrum that hasn't really been touched, hasn't really been talked about. That's the reason why we have our podcast. That's the reason why you start to see a lot more of it on TV and stuff like that. But there's not a definition, right? So if you break your arm, right, there's a very clear diagnosis that your arm is broken. It's either broken or it's not, right? A fracture is still considered a break, whatever. You either broke your arm or you didn't. If you've never broken your arm, you can't sympathize with what it's like to break your arm, right? You can kind of grasp the concept, you can listen to the stories, but you don't know. Mental health is, because it's not talked about, because it's such a gray area, there's not a real clarification. There's people that can be upset and they try to classify that as I'm depressed. Bitch, you're not depressed. You just didn't get your way and you're upset about it, right? And then there's people that are like legitimately depressed. There's people that are legitimately anxious. There's people that are legitimately suicidal. There's people that are legitimately like whatever, right? And there's not really a clarification or a real in-depth description of what does that look like. And it's hard to diagnose. Like, you may have symptoms, right? But it's like WebMD. Fuck WebMD. Everybody's got cancer and gonna die, right? Because the symptoms can be so broad, right? So people try to throw that on mental health, and they don't really deep dive in to say whether you do or you don't. And you can't really tell because it's inside your mind of where you're at, right? So you can say, oh, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but you don't really know because you're not living in that person's head. Maybe that person's just been spoiled their whole life and they don't know what struggle is, right? I don't know. Anyway, but that being said, like, I feel like those are all, for me, and a lot of people that I know that suffer with like depression or whatever, like those are valid questions in that song, and they go even past the mental health aspect and the just questioning, like, what is the purpose, right? And so that was like me when I was driving. I don't know, the darkness was just there, and I was questioning these things, like, why am I doing this? Like, what is the purpose of this? What is the point of this? Like, does it even fucking matter? In the grand scheme of things. And I don't know, like, I found myself at some point having to kind of change the music a little bit, right? So I don't fucking drop.
So that's what I was about to ask. What is there a conscious choice to kind of shift that repetition?
I mean, sometimes yes, sometimes no, but at the same time, like, I think that repetition is it's a scary line. It's a scary line to walk down. Like, if you think about those questions, right? If you really truly think about those questions, like, those are things that people are scared to address. And if you normally talk about it, you either become, oh, you're a dark person, or that's depressing, or like whatever else. But I think more people really need to focus on those things and to ask themselves those questions when they're dealing with their day-to-day life, even if they're not in a depressed state, even if they're not in a down state. But I don't think that people do.
I mean, I think those questions are valid in that they help you to answer purpose, right? Because if you could answer at least one of them, it's not that you have to answer them all, because that may take a lifetime, right?
Yeah.
But if you could chip at one of those questions and begin to get some kind of understanding of the why, if then why, right?
Yeah.
Then I think you've crossed a hurdle that then could help you move to the next phase, right? Go into the next shift. Because if we can understand the why of this and really focus on the purpose that's rooted in it, then that'll help us in our life.
No, for sure. And I think for a normally mind person, that's a
what is a normally mind? I don't know
that thing, right? I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things, right? I think when we use normal,
we've created a line for what normal is and not
normal
right?
is.
Yeah.
Right? No, for sure. But it's anything outside of damage, right? And I think that's where it.
What's anything outside of damage?
Anything outside of damage, like real damage. And okay, so
is the definition of what?
Would be a definition of normal.
Oh, okay.
Normal-ish. Okay. Right? Or whatever considered normal is, right? I mean, obviously there's going to be varying spectrums. It's like, I don't know why we use this a lot, but it's like we use working out a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
An athletic body. Mm-hmm. There's a clear, like, you can be athletic, but there's varying spectrums. There's slim athletic, jacked
mm-hmm.
athletic, shredded athletic,
mm-hmm.
but it's all considered athletic.
Mm-hmm.
And then like there's obese or not athletic or whatever, and those all have varying forms,
mm-hmm.
right? So for me, we're gonna say normal is on this good side, right? And the rest is on the bad. And there is these things though that what I think that people don't talk about is like, it's always, and maybe this falls back to like kind of to the accountability and stuff like that and whatever else, but it's very hard for someone that doesn't know to understand the mind of a damaged person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very easy to say, oh man, just take these little steps, just do like whatever, just do whatever.
It's a 10-step process.
You can't get away from it. And that's what I think is hard for a more normal minded person to understand, is that the damage doesn't go away. Just trying to deal with it can sometimes become easier.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is like, I take someone, well, it doesn't matter. You can look at all avenues of whatever, but for this sake of, let's talk about, I don't know, like back in the day, like Junior, was it Junior? Not Junior Seau. Was it Junior Seau, right?
Mm-hmm.
That killed himself?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I believe it was. But football, head injuries, created damage,
mm-hmm.
right? Still could walk, talk,
mm-hmm.
fine. He's a fine person, he's dealing with his day-to-day, but you can't beat that demon, mm-hmm. right? There's the brain takes damage for whatever reason. Oh my goodness, unprofessional. And I thought I shut that completely off. The brain takes damage, and at that point you can't get away from it. And it's the same thing like when there is that depression, when there is that whatever, the mind is just different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a, oh, don't worry about it, it's going to be okay. It's not a, mm-hmm. Whatever. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, like, I feel it's just weird because for me, as I go through this experience and as I go through dealing with my issues, like, I want to be able to speak from a place of being damaged. Mm-hmm. Right? Because, and that's the thing, so everyone says, oh, don't say that, but it's real.
No, I mean, we have to be honest.
We have to be honest.
Yeah.
But also, to tell people to lean into it and accept it, but know how to, or do your best to control it. And I think that a lot of times when people get that way, it is hard for people to talk about, right? Because they don't want to be judged. Mm-hmm. They don't want to admit that they have a problem, or they're ashamed of it, or they're usually beating themselves up because they can't shake whatever this feeling is, and that just pushes you further in there. But then there's also sometimes you just have to embrace that. And for me, like, I find myself like, and I said not everybody, and I don't encourage everybody to do it, but I find myself it's easier for me to pull away from everyone and take that nosedive into the ground.
Okay.
And then, you know, come back up than it is to like have
then to stay middle ground.
Yeah, stay middle ground, or like have someone that's gonna.
You need
like
the ebb and flow.
Yeah, I need that for myself, because if not, man, I'm gonna blow my fucking head off. I laugh about it, but that's like fucking real. Like if I have to stay on all the time or have to listen to someone keep telling me, man, it's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
Like then y'all gonna bury me for real. Don't even bury me, just throw me in a fucking ditch somewhere. I don't care. But yeah, so like, but that's my process. Some people need the ebb and flow. Some people need the encouragement. You know, some people need to be left alone. Some people need to be whatever. But yeah, so, but going through this process, the whole point, like cycling all the way back to the beginning, is like the song was playing and I'm thinking about all these questions, and I'm thinking about like applying that to my life and what does that mean? Where am I at? And it kind of made me not sad. Sad's not the right word, but it made me think about a lot of other people, in the fact that like, so I've had so much shit happen over the last few years, whatever, 8 years, 10 years, whatever, that has caused me to really reflect on where I am in life and what I really want to do. And I feel like I've made good progress in finding out more about who I am and working more on my problems, and realizing like I was not in as good of a spot as I thought I was. But then really thinking about these questions on this day, whatever it was, made me realize that even though I thought I was doing better, I still am pretty fucking broken in a lot of avenues, right? And it made me question and think about, like, as other people, like, God damn, like how many people out there right now who haven't even started the first part of that journey, because they're still living in that matrix, right? They're still living in that falsehood of like, they think that this is what life is, and they really don't know why they're not really happy. They're just going through those steps. They haven't even started the first step or the second step. I'm on the third step and realize I got 7 more. Like, fuck, like how do you jumpstart those people that are in step 1? I mean, that's not my job. I can't do that, but I almost feel bad for them, you know, because even though I feel like shit, at least I'm starting to see who I am. Like, you don't even know who you are.
I know it, you know, it sounds, no, it doesn't sound anyway. It can sound however it wants to sound. But the fact that you are, there's 2 things that you said. And one is that you found a cycle that works for you, right? And it's getting you to a place where you're not at step 1 anymore. So that talks about growth, right? And whatever that cycle or that pattern is, because you like patterns. So here's the pattern, right? It's up, it's down, it's a realization, and then it's gradually back up, right?
No, for sure.
And that pattern is creating something, like you said, it's creating understanding about who you are. And it's allowing you in those moments to chip at some of this weight that you didn't know why it was there, or where it was coming from, or what it created, right? And then, okay, now I can sift through that. And the why and the ifs of this, maybe I understand that a little better. Or I've gotten a little tool here that'll help me to not have to go as deep into the dive next time on this particular thing, right? And I feel like that's the growth in it all. And nobody can that's that personal accountability we're talking about in the other thing, right? Nobody can set that up for you.
No, for sure.
Now, so there's some people that can encourage you or just be a sounding board, because if that's what you need,
end it all. Just end it all.
They're not gonna say that.
Hey, some people do.
Okay.
You know?
Well, let's not talk to those people.
Oh, well, I mean, sometimes it's encouraging. You know, sometimes it's encouraging to have that type of feedback.
Okay.
I don't know. Like I said, I go against things, or people like things.
Yeah, you go against everything that people like. So
yeah, I do, and it works. So if you don't like me, then I'm going to like it.
Now you're trying to, yeah.
I'm just fucked up.
You're into that.
Yeah, I'm just fucked up in that.
At what standard though? I mean, and again, I think you've drawn a line in the sand and you said, okay, this is normal, but this is not. And because you want to be different, you've drawn the line in your sand and decided I'm going to be on this side of the line and I'm going to create all I can. I'm going to pile all I can up against the line to create this barrier between what you believe is normal and what I'm going to say is normal.
No, I mean, for
So
sure.
that you look different.
Yeah, I mean, I am different. I'm definitely different. Anybody come talk to me for 2 hours. 2 hours, you're gonna see how fucking different. I don't think I want to talk to anybody for 2 hours. I don't know. Anyway, neither here nor there. I mean, there is though, right? But also within that growth, I guess the first thing I want to say is I would question people to really think about that. So go back to the questions, or maybe I can put the questions in. Maybe I'll put the questions in the information where people can go and look at the questions. And I want everybody to give themselves time to really think about uninterrupted time, not, oh, I'm doing this, to whatever you do to focus, whether it's taking a shit, cooking dinner, going on a walk. Think about those questions, and then, right, let's use 10 steps, because that's what alcoholics do, right? At least use 10 steps, and in the course of life and getting and answering those questions and applying them to yourself. What step are you? Are you on step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, all the way to 10, 10 being the best? Where do you think you sit with knowing the answers to that and knowing who you are?
And some of those steps may come with you having to have some hard conversations.
Exactly.
With family or with friends or with, individuals that you've come through some situations with. And there's been some unanswered, unresolved things, right?
Yes.
In the case where you can't go back and get those answers, well, then that's just something you got to barrel through, right? I mean,
for sure.
But there could be some conversations that are needed in order for you to be able to jump into these steps and make some sense out of them.
Where do you feel you are in the 10-step process?
I don't really know what these steps are, but I can
on a sliding scale
on a sliding
1 to
scale.
10, where you are, where do you feel you are in truly knowing who you are and what you want?
And it's evolving. I know more of where I want to be now than I ever have.
Yeah,
I had this.
That could be a 2 or it could be a 10.
Yeah, it's right now. It's a 4, and I'll say it's a 4 is because I get frustrated with not having it. Like I feel like I should already be there. And so I feel like that there's some things that me understanding and walking in this bigger dream, this bigger goal, this bigger thought process that I have, all of these things that I put up and I said, these are the things that I want to accomplish, not about cars and houses and those kind of things, but living out purpose for me.
Right.
I look at it and I say, okay, there's been a lot of wasted time. I've invested a whole lot of energy and effort into everybody else's dreams and goals. And I was too fearful to push my own, right? And so it's been a journey in thought. It's been a journey in my mind to try to make sure that, hey, Aaron, you're okay to focus on you. It's okay to deal with this issue that you're dealing with and not have to, go help somebody else with theirs.
Right.
It's okay to be selfish a bit in this scenario, in this season of your life, and focus solely on what you need to accomplish.
Right.
And not always be the person that's helping somebody else, but pull in somebody that's going to help you. That's okay, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's okay to be a graphic designer, but then solicit somebody that does graphics, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, but you're hitting the nail on the head, right? And I think that's where a lot of the struggle for a lot of people's lives. And the graphic designer is a perfect fucking example, right? People always saying, well, if I could do it, then I should be doing it. But
and I'm that guy.
There's someone out there that's better than you.
That's better than me.
That can make it either quicker or better, or have a different idea.
And take that responsibility off of you.
Exactly.
So that you don't have to feel like, if I don't get it all done, then I'm not accomplished. I'm not good enough. And you go through that whole litany of things that I couldn't get it done. I'm not good enough. I failed at it again.
Yeah.
There's another thing on the back. You go through that whole litany of things in the downward spiral to justify why you're gonna stay here.
No, for sure. That's huge. And I think a lot of people miss that. And it's interesting that you say you're at a 4. I think that is a very fair assessment. Not of me assessing you, but in people the same personal assessment. Because I've had conversations with people, and it's so interesting when I ask them where they feel that they are, and they'll be like, "Man, I'm a
8, 9, 10,
I'm a 7, I'm an 8, I'm a 9. Oh, I'm perfectly happy. Like I'm happy." But then they're complaining about their job. They're complaining about, "Damn, I'm tired." They're complaining about all these fucking kids, or whatever. I'm like, but how are you a 9.5, but you're unhappy with every aspect of your life? But there's so many people that they genuinely believe they're a 9.5. There's so many people out here that genuinely believe they're a 9.5 or a 10, but they're not. If they sit down and think about it, they're unhappy with this and this and this and this, and it's not just a material thing. It's a physical thing. It's a mental thing. And that's where we need to reassess. And I guess for me, that's kind of what all this is about. And the mental health aspect about and these questions is really constantly, resetting, and finding how we view things, how we think about things, and not just constantly running, really thinking about what is it that we want. And even if you know what it is that you want, resetting and think about, okay, well, is the path that I'm going on now, even though I've been going nonstop, is that leading me closer to or further from, where I'm at? And I genuinely believe a lot of people aren't doing that.
Man, I have this affinity with movies and storylines where the person has that moment where they realize it was all worth it. Right, where they've gone through all of the hell that they've gone through, all of the sacrifice that they've made. It's the pursuit of happiness. It's that moment where you watch the movie and he's struggling with these machines and has his kid over here, and they're sleeping in the bathroom, and the son believes it's a game, and it's all of these things have built up, and all of those things come as pressures to destroy you. But then at the end you see him clap his hands, and for me I desire to have that end moment, and I don't feel like I've met those yet. Right, I haven't had that moment where all of this makes sense. No. Where us coming here to make these recordings, we haven't hit the point where that made sense yet for me. For being a father and and seeing those things, my children grow up, I haven't hit that point yet, right? So for me to be at a 9 or a 10, and this is nothing against anybody else, at a 9 or a 10, real estate, I hadn't hit that point yet, right? I still have to get out there and hustle every day. It's not that, and I may have to for the rest of my life, and that'll be okay, but I'll understand what purpose, what plan it has in the overall system of it. And it will no longer pull me down because I put it in this particular place. Right.
No, and I agree with that. And I think what you're saying, though, is very relevant. But that's I say but. People use but. Why do people think but's a bad thing? Because people say but like it's negative, but, you're just adding on, They rather say, I don't mean to say but, let me say in addition to. Like it's still the same fucking thing. You already said but, just continue on with it, right? But I feel like that's also a part where people miss, but also is a thing where you separate different levels of people and different levels of thinking in that, because for you, and people have to assess that for themselves as well.
It's an individual
because
assessment.
For you, personally, I don't think you're ever gonna get there. Mm-hmm. And for me, I'm the same way. I don't think I'm ever gonna get there, but that there's certain types of people that are like that, because those, like you see in the movies, those end moments, like they are inspiring and they make you feel good, and that's what they're designed to do. Mm-hmm. But that's not real. That's not real life. And when you look at the people that
I think it's real life. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's real life in all life. I think you'll find it in moments.
Well, yeah, I guess to a certain extent, but right, like I guess what I'm trying to say is if you look at the people that are wildly successful, right? You look at the really great minds, whether it's, you know, successful financially, successful academically, successful like whatever, they hit that milestone where a lot of people are going to stand back and give you that slow clap. They're not satisfied with that because then it's the next thing,
it's
right?
the next thing,
and so that's what I'm saying, like for you or for me, like you want that, but that's the goal, but you're never going to get there.
You never get there because there's always another goal.
Yeah. And so like that's what I'm saying. And but there are some people who aren't as driven where they're gonna hit that
and be fine with it.
And then it's done.
It's done.
And that's what I'm saying. Like people need to assess because like you tell me all the time, you're doing I don't feel like I'm doing shit. I sat with my boss Friday and my boss's boss, and they told me all these great things that I'm fucking doing, and I don't see none of it. To them, I'm killing the game. Yeah. And I'm just like,
because you have a level of expectation for yourself that's greater than probably anybody else will ever
imagine. And that's where I also think, like I said, people need to assess what is that, right? Because if you think that, if your goal is I want this, and you think that you're like, you have to, what type of person are you? You know, if you're a really driven person, yeah, that's the goal, and you pick a goal that is going to take you a lifetime to get, so that way you're never like, you know, you're always chasing, because that's what you're going to do.
So that drive for me, sometimes for me takes me into a place of kind of despair sometimes, right? Because dang, I feel like it should be more here. Dang, it should be, I shouldn't be at this place. I got to be over here, right? At this point in my life, at this age, I should be over there. And because I'm not, now I got to barrel through this emotional block that I have, because I can either be like, okay, forget it, I'm just gonna chill out right here and we're gonna do it here, or I gotta go to that next thing. I don't care what your expectations are, because I'm not living for yours. I gotta go over there. And I think part of the problem is I got stuck in this place because I got cool with the accolades, that people believed I was good enough, that people, you know, thought that, okay, this is great enough, what you've done is the best thing I've ever seen. Yeah. But it was still mediocre to me. Right. But I took that as enough. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so at this point, I've also grown in wisdom to let me know that I don't have to do it all in order for it to still make me great. Right. So if we go back to that graphic design idea, if I got hung up on it here and I need this to take me to the next level, then let me pull somebody over here who can take care of that. And then together we'll move on to the next thing. Right. And that is the learning that I'm going through day to day that keeps me, you know, from that built me up from a 2 to a 4. Right. Yeah. Is acknowledging those things, because I'm the guy that's going to do it all by myself.
No, for sure, man. I don't know. Like, I feel like we need to quell this down, take it down a notch, because I feel like this could be one of those ones that could go on forever, or it needs to be multiple, we always do a couple parts on it, right? Yeah, it needs to be multiple episodes. But I think right now, let's leave it there. Let's have people assess. All right. Everybody out there, stop fucking lying. You're a 2, not a 10. All right. And some of you aren't even a 2. All right. Let's be real. Let's assess, and then let's come back into another episode.
Hold on. Before we go. Yeah. And I don't have an answer. I'm asking you. Do you have a way to make that assessment, so that we can do something? We can actually help people at least look at a way to assess. Yeah.
That'll be the next episode.
We'll come back and work on that.
Love it. Yeah. What's going on, guys? Hopefully you enjoyed the show. We appreciate you listening for sure. But we need your help.
Yeah, we need your help. We need you to like, comment, and subscribe, so that we can continue to make great content for you guys.
Yeah. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe.
And it's right here on the screen. Everything you need.
Right there. Thank you so much, guys, for listening.
All right, take care.